call the regular meeting to order. We've already had the pledge, but we can do it again for you. Let's do it again. Come on. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Doesn't get to say that more than once. Welcome, everybody. I have no additions to the agenda. I have no remarks. So any public comment items not on the agenda?
Assuming it's the same agenda as last week.
Okay. Okay, recreation quarterly report?
Okay. Well, it's been a bit since I've given one of these reports. I think I was in here late August, early September, something like that. So I can babble on for a little bit if you want with a few things, or I can try to be brief. But babble a little bit. All right. Well, since I've been here, since I came in last, we've wrapped up the Recreation Master Plan project. So we've kind of been digging into that a little bit, implementing some of it, and then continuing to explore that. But that was definitely a worthwhile process. I think it kind of gave us some useful information that we wouldn't have obtained otherwise necessarily. So thank you to the folks that helped out with that. Part of that plan outlined the deep desire to have pickleball here in Vernon, which I kind of knew anyways, but we were able to make that happen with the use of the ARPA funds that you guys approved the last time I was here. Since then, we've purchased nets, paddles, balls. We've had the tennis courts lined with 4 courts. We are playing currently Wednesday nights in the gymnasium at the elementary school from 6 to 8. We have 10 or 12 people that play every Wednesday night. We do still need to purchase an outdoor storage for the nets to go with the tennis courts. They need to be locked away when not in use and brought out when people choose to use them, but leaving them out, I think I don't think we need to do that. We are still looking at the ARPA funds and exploring, where those might fit into the recreation department. Some of the things we're looking at are some ADA stuff for the recreation area, looking at renovations for the shelter bathrooms, exploring some type of easily removed all-season walls for the shelter that will provide greater use and protection from the elements in the early spring and the late fall. We had a very successful soccer season with 92 players from preschool to 6th grade. Some pretty awesome volunteer coaches that make that program happen. We wrapped up that season with 44 local teams from 9 different towns heading down to Bernston for a jamboree. The Bernston Recreation Department did an awesome job with accommodating 44 teams in one location. It's pretty wild, so they did a great job. October 28th, we had our annual trunk or treat held at the elementary school, where 16 local families decorated their cars and trucks, and we had 200 plus attendees all decked out in Halloween costumes, so that's always a good time to see how creative people are with their costumes, and the kids have a good time. So November 21st, we had our annual turkey shoot, and that's not quite what it sounds like, but a family member and a child come together. They partnered to shoot 10 free throws each, and their total score is their team's total score on basketball free throws. And then they can come up to the table where we have Thanksgiving food all laid out, turkeys, hams, all kinds of different stuff, down to potatoes, canned corn, and they can pick whatever they want. It's pretty funny. Sometimes kids will be one of the top finishers who come grab an awesome ham, and they'll come up and they want mashed potatoes or something like that. So they'll grab that. It's pretty funny, really. December 1st and 2nd, we had the annual Home for the Holidays craft fair. 46 local vendors came and participated, well attended once again, and thank you to the vendors. They will donate an item for a raffle that the Recreation Department conducts, and we raised $1,017 in that went directly to offsetting program costs for the Rec Department, so appreciative of them. We had a Christmas crafts program where we had 64 kids participate, which is the most we've ever had. We make gingerbread houses, and we try to make a world Vernon record paper chain, which we were able to accomplish this year. It's 1,590 feet 6 inches. So that was a good time. The kids all get really, behind that. It's kind of cool to see kids anywhere from kindergarten through 6th grade. They just really come together, and it seems like a recipe for disaster when you have 64 kids and $400 worth of candy in one room. But it's really not, for whatever reason. Fingers crossed it continues to be successful, and a great time. So we'll continue to roll with that. After school program is rolling along. Great staff there, 8 to 15 kids every day in the after school program. And that runs 2:45 to 5:30 daily. Preschool is as busy as ever. We have 26 students. Registration is currently open for next year. Basketball is underway. We have 83 players, grades K through 6. Again, awesome volunteer coaches that I can't stress the amount of time that these coaches give. It's pretty awesome. We'll be holding our 21st annual basketball tournaments in February. We anticipate 15 teams in the boys tournament and 7 in the girls. The preschool will conduct a food sale fundraiser during the boys tournament, and the rec board will hold a food sales fundraiser during the girls tournament. We have open gym every Saturday, 20 to 40 participants typically every Saturday. That's from 12:30 to 3. Adult pickup basketball Tuesday nights, that's 10 to 15 generally every Tuesday night. Adult fitness class, Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's 3 to 8 in that generally. Volleyball is not as popular as it once was. Kat can attest to that. She's been trying to recruit some folks, but we're not being as successful. Volleyball is just not quite as popular as it once was.
Pickleball.
Pickleball, maybe that's what it is, yeah. We're working on some new fitness programming. We're working with Christopher Fisher. We're working on an aging population class, which will fitness oriented. Which will take place here in the town office buildings. That'll be a Thursday morning. And then we're working on a grades 4 through 6 program to try to kind of make fitness fun and get some kids interested in that, which we've already got people registered for both these programs. Sean Quinn, who works in the elementary school, has started a tabletop game club through us. That's it right after school on Wednesdays. There's 5 kids involved with that. Budget revenue wise, and nothing seems to be too off course at this point. We're kind of tracking where we would want to be. Revenue wise, we're kind of right where we typically are. So there's nothing too out of whack in any of that. So that's all my babble. So.
Wow.
That's great.
It's a lot.
That's
I told you I was going to talk a lot if you wanted me to.
Thank you.
But any questions or?
I only have one.
Wow.
Oh, he has a question.
I have one.
Sure.
Relative to the preschool.
Sure.
With the state talking about appropriating monies to help the wages, generally speaking, of preschool educators.
Is that with the 0.1% tax, 0.44%
Yeah.
tax, or, yeah?
How, do you have any idea, and it may be way too early, how this may or may not affect what we're doing down here?
Way too early.
Okay.
I don't even really have any idea what that would look like.
Yeah,
I mean,
just-
I don't know if it would fall to private, to the more private sector
Yeah.
or the public. I'm really not sure.
Okay, that's early on,
Yep.
just something I've been reading about, that's all.
Yep, I've heard about it, but I don't know much more than what we just talked
Yeah,
about.
that's about my extent as well,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Town admin report?
I'll be very short. Last Wednesday, I attended a meeting along with a few members of Vernon boards and commissions in town. We met with North Star and Power Transitions. There was a presentation for a proposal for a potential redevelopment of the Vermont Yankee property once it's decommissioned. The Planning Commission will be meeting and putting together a recommendation on the proposal. Annual report will be complete the first week of February once I receive the school's portion and financial reports. That should go out to the printer, and we should have it by the 3rd week in February. The town meeting warning draft will also be complete next week once I receive the school's portion. I should get that to you guys for signatures. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. That doesn't sound long, but you've done a lot. To get to that point.
Yeah.
Minute approval? January 2nd. Thanks, Seth.
My report.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the regular meeting minutes of the Select Board meeting on Tuesday, January 2nd, as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Michael?
Abstain.
Brandon?
Aye.
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Warrant.
I move that we approve payment of the following warrant. 14T accounts payable, $1,814,409.37, which includes the second installment of the school tax. 1S payroll, $8,797.69, and 2S payroll, $14,229.58.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Motion carries. Truck bids. You're up, sir.
Well, we did get one. It
Yeah.
did come under what we have. So,
Should be pretty easy.
but I can tell you, you're looking a year to 18 months
Yeah.
out.
Will the price remain the same?
The only scary part is the 18 for the other truck.
I was thinking that too. I was curious what you thought of that.
That's the only,
Which
Well-
truck? Sorry,
the 2010 International.
thank you. There's so many.
But for that International motor that's in it, that's probably a pretty good price. It's one of the bad ones. We got two of them.
So I'm wondering, I saw, there's a website called Municipid, I don't know if you've ever looked at it. Brattleboro's selling 2 snowmobiles right now. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if that's something you'd consider putting it out there for auction first to see if we can do better.
We can try it. That's, the other truck we did sell outright. We got 30 for it.
Yeah,
But I also know it don't have the International motor that's.
yeah. A dog,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just a thought.
Yep, no. We even thought of calling a company that strip them out
Yeah.
and see what you could get that way if we had to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes, yeah.
Knock on wood, we haven't had problems with the bad motors, but we know what other towns have gone through.
Yeah.
What?
$271 less 18, right?
I guess that brings up to the 252.
253, 649.
Right. Madam Chair, I
Sir.
move to authorize the purchase of the truck as bid at net amount of $252,649.
Is there a second?
Just a correction, it's 253.
253, I'm sorry. Yep.
Is there a second? No, it's corrected.
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. The motion's been made and seconded. Is there a discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you, David. I like your bids. Well, no, he always has them made up for us. Okay, certificate of highway mileage for the year ending February 10th, 2024. There's no changes in mileage.
So I move that we sign it as written.
Is there a second?
Second. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Do you want me to use this one to sign? Sure. Okay.
Do you need that back, or can I just?
After 10. After Tim does his, make sure it goes to the
Oh,
state, and if I can get a copy, I'll
Okay.
let Tim sign.
Yeah, I see who's gonna sign that.
Okay. Bob, are you on?
Don't see him.
Robert Spencer.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Welcome. You are up.
Okay, I think Sandra's on. Is she here?
You see Cindy?
She is. He's on with the last one.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight, but last week we distributed a memo summarizing some options for solid waste management for the town to consider. Not here to make any recommendations or advocate for any of these. It's just to give the town some idea what their options are. This is all precipitated, of course, by the very high bid that came in from one lone bidder for curbside trash and recycling. Shelley and I put together a list of 12 haulers, and I had verified almost all of them were interested in bidding. So we're a bit surprised, but anyhow, the prices that we got were very, very high, and it's remains to be seen if the town's voters would have the appetite for that kind of expense to continue curbside trash and recycling. So what we've done here is put it back out to bid. Shelley did that, and they're due, I think, a week from today, the 31st. And she found a few more haulers in the Massachusetts region, I think. That is that right, Shelley? They're Massachusetts companies.
One in Northfield and one in Vernon.
Okay, so we'll have to see what comes in. Again, that's what the town's been supporting for many years. An excellent curbside program. Just it may have gotten too expensive. So then the next option is the town steps away from providing any services. And as the memo says, there is no state mandate for any municipal solid waste services. And the other towns in the district that don't provide any are Dummerston, Guilford, Newfane, and Putney. I attached a map that's on our website showing the Wyndham Solid Waste member town services. And it's interesting, the range of options. On the far right, Westminster, Brattleboro, and Vernon were the only three with curbside municipal collection. Then the next colored box is 24/7 drop-off recycling, which is just like what we had at the highway garage for many years. Three towns, Brookline, Marlboro, and Halifax, have opted to continue that. They don't have any other trash service provided, but residents can bring recyclables to those drop-offs, and they're at the Brookline's not at the DPW, but Marlboro and Halifax are. Then transfer station, that's a very popular approach where a town manages its own transfer station and has its own employees. And there's 7 towns, and they're shown on the map. About a year ago, as we were looking into this whole issue, Sandra and Shelley and I went and toured 3 of the transfer stations. And if the select board is interested in looking into this option, it's really worthwhile seeing what range of services these towns do with their transfer. The least expensive, as I put in here, is Townsend, and they are somewhere around 60,000 a year to staff and operate their transfer station. An old cost estimate from Triple T in 2013. Pegged it at around 50,000. I think that's low. It's probably closer to, well, I don't actually know what it would be. I think Shelley put in for the article 60,000. Didn't you, Shelley? For, to have a placeholder. It would be a fairly extensive project. We'd have to have a site agreed upon. We'd have to hire a licensed engineer to design it and submit the permit to the Vermont A&R. And then you'd have to hire people and construct it. So it's not a fast option right now. The no services, and I included the Wyndham Solid Waste District's disposal and recycling fees. That is probably the easiest option for the town because there's already over 83 residents who purchase access stickers at the Wyndham Solid Waste District. A lot of that happened when the food waste collection program was shut down. People wanted that option. And so we saw an uptick in sticker sales to Vernon residents. It's just a transfer of costs. It's instead of coming out of the town budget, it's going to come out of taxpayers' individual pockets to either hire a hauler on their own or buy an access sticker. So that's just a high level of what's available. And I know we don't have a solid waste committee right now. But this is the kind of thing a solid waste committee could dig into. Looking at all these options in more detail. Sandra, do you want to say anything since you've been supporting me on this work with the town?
Yes, we've been working on this issue for a long time. I thought you covered it really well in your report, and the map and everything that that you submitted to the select board. I think the ball's in their court now. They have to decide what they want. I don't know how much influence the actual voters have at what this would come up at town meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
They'll make the decision.
The voters would make the decision?
Yes.
Okay. So thinking back to the number of town meetings that I've attended in the past 6 years, there seemed to be a variety of preferences and in solid waste services. I guess we'll hear those things. And again, I think it would be a good idea if you did appoint a committee to help you do the research that needs to be done on this, so that when town meeting arrives, the choices, the options are, laid out pretty clear.
Thank you.
2 questions.
Tom?
I have 2 questions, if I could. Has there been any consideration, we talked about this a few weeks ago, of perhaps calling the town of Northfield and seeing if they wanted to partner, or if town of Brattleboro, if they wanted to put a truck down here on a Saturday, like a mini transfer station, if you will. That's the first question. And then the second question is for people who may not know what a sticker at the Wyndham Regional facility in North Brattleboro, what you can do with that sticker. If you buy a sticker for $50 or $35 or whatever, what does that get you when you go up there for someone who doesn't use it right now?
Well, to answer that question, it's $50. And I did put that into item 2 of my memo. And just based on a family that recycles.
Okay, it's a
and
$4 charge, right?
Pardon?
$4 a bag?
Yes, that's what it is now, and I think it'll probably stay that way. But a family could do all their trash and recycling for under $250 a year at the rate of 1 bag a week. Private haulers, I don't really know, because there's a wide range of hauling services from weekly to monthly to that it would cost, but I've heard that it's somewhere in the $40 or $50 a month range. So there's a handout, Tom, like with the memo, a 2-sided showing all the disposal and recycling fees. Many things are free
Yeah.
and some have fees.
Might always have fees.
Then your first point I thought was really good. And I've actually thought that maybe Guilford would be a good town to partner with a transfer station. I haven't heard them talking about any desire for a transfer station, but along Franklin Road, something like that could work. The town of Northfield has a very nice transfer station just a couple miles south of the town line, which you can drive in and see anytime you want when they're open. I don't know what the intermunicipal agreement would look like. And Tom, you'd probably be good at figuring that one out.
Well, we'd only have to go back to Orange and New Salem back in the long time ago, but yeah. And Northfield had a situation back in the 80s too, where they shut their landfill down because there were tires in the landfill, and then they closed it. And 3 weeks later, the Corps of Engineers was rip-wrapping the side of the river with tires. So,
Wow, okay.
yeah, but there are some intermunicipal agreements out there.
Winchester and Richmond,
Yeah.
that one I'm very familiar with.
There is a somewhat of an intermunicipal agreement in the region that's between Rockingham and Bellows Falls. The transfer station for Bellows Falls it's actually between Westminster. I take that
Right.
back, and Bellows Falls. The transfer station's in the town of Westminster because the old Bellows Falls dump was there. So there is some models out there.
Just a thought, as opposed to trying to do everything on our own, it might be more cost effective if another town would take us as a client and we pay a fee.
I mean, the most likely would be Northfield because Brattleboro doesn't have a transfer station
Right.
other than the districts. Guilford has nothing. Hinsdale's obviously they have a transfer station, and Winchester does, and Shelley knows all about that, but that's not convenient.
No, it's way too far to travel.
Yeah. All I can say is that the options are going to cost more.
Yeah.
The people do it themselves through haulers. Or, I mean, we've had a very good run with Triple T for many years. Service has been great. The prices have been very reasonable. And I'm speaking on behalf of Wyndham Solid Waste, who also has a contract with Triple T, which is also expiring this summer. So we'll be facing the same RFP issue.
One more question. Has anyone talked to Casella and say, can you extend the current status another year while we plan what we're gonna do?
I don't think they're willing to do that. After
Okay.
the meeting that Cindy and I had, this is it.
Okay,
Once June 30th comes,
well,
They're pushing.
they can keep
we're automated.
they can keep the town as a client, where they can lose the town as a client.
Mhm, exactly.
Company that they cares.
You're right.
I know. We're not the only town who is in the same boat, who has the
Yeah.
same thoughts, so that's a lot of business to be losing.
Okay, just,
I think that would be a very reasonable next step is to invite Dave Allen, who's the regional manager now, to a meeting and see how much negotiation there is. You know, we need time. This is, you know, kind of I mean, to the credit of Shelley and, you know, we did this back in November trying to get a number for budgetary purposes. Well
Right.
before the contract had already expired, so
You as well.
we've been operating on a handshake, right, Shelley?
No, we had something written, but it was just very brief. He was well aware when we met during the summer, Cindy and I met with him, that we needed figures for budget season, and it wasn't gonna be a quick process, and it would have to go to the voters. So he's well aware of the timeline and the process.
Okay.
I've
And I
told
haven't
him
been involved with that,
multiple times.
so.
it still may be worth having them come in.
Sure.
Board, any other questions, Jean? No. Tom?
No.
Michael?
I used my allotment.
Thank you very much, Bob and Sandra, for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, and we'll be glad to help you anytime. I'm, as Shelley knows, available to meet during business hours. Kind of brainstorm other things.
Thank you.
All right.
Sandra.
Thank you.
Okay, forest fire
Thank you.
warden appointments. We have, are we doing these now or after town meeting? You want to do them now?
The state had contacted us. I think they're well overdue,
Okay.
so that's why they are on the agenda.
Just the two, right?
Yep, reappointment for John Hilden Jr. and Jesse Jobin.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Do you want me to use mine to do it? Or
Sure.
do you have a pen?
We don't have an exec tonight, right?
I can add one, but I think it's kind of late in the game.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have anything. Maybe next meeting.
Okay, you're up, capital plan. Deep breath.
Well, I think it's getting less painful each time. So.
Yeah, the papers are getting smaller.
So the town van, there's a new quote, so it's a little higher because the first quotes didn't include the straps and things
Right.
that are needed for the preschool. So that was not part of the first quote. So there is a new quote. So I changed the figures a little bit. If we're gonna extend it out for like 2 years before we get a new van, then we're looking at 19 each year. However, that quote is only good, I think, for 30 days. So that quote may change. I mean, we can estimate about 5% if we wait past the 30 days or, you know, till next year, it may be about 5% more. But I know you guys had also talked about the potential of using other funds to get it this year. I think the trade-in figure so far has come back at like 5,600, which is kind of seems low for a van that has under 100,000 miles on it and hasn't been used a lot because of COVID. Like that to me seems pretty low,
Yeah.
but maybe at an auction or some other way we could get more for the van that would be able to hopefully.
So
But yeah, that's, I think, the quote that Shelley and Linda and Dave were able to secure at this point.
Thank you.
So I don't know what you guys want to do with the van, but I know you talked about possibly ARPA or whatever. So you guys can just tell me and I can fix this based on whatever you guys decide to do.
I guess I have a question, because they're talking about a 14 passenger van,
Yes.
and they want to use it for the preschool. And there's more than 14 kids in the preschool.
Yeah, it's used periodically for the preschool, and it does need to have the integrated
They-
child safety seats.
They do use it now.
Yes.
They do. And, yeah, somebody had, noted that they weren't sure if they were already included in the quote, so I reached out to both the manufacturers and inquired, and they said that was not included, so we have 2 new quotes.
Okay.
Well, okay, what,
So that's the town van. The tanker, I think Shelley's working on some other option.
Yeah, there are, grants out there, however, the due date's December. So we already missed it, it was the beginning of December. So we'd have to wait another year to apply. I'm looking at other funds, but
is that
No.
truck safe for another year if we needed it?
So do you guys want me to just take that off here? Leave it? Are we gonna appropriate money? Okay, so, we've been appropriating 30,000 every year for the last few years, so I'll just leave that same figure. Okay? And then the only things I'm still waiting on is I have not gotten the information from the fire chief on the roof.
He did just respond. He said he
Oh,
hasn't
did
got any traction this time. He hasn't had the time to be pushy with the vendors, but he has contacted a few and followed up with no response.
So I did try to clarify for him today that like, it doesn't have to be like a really specific, like they need to come out and like, cause what goes on here isn't necessarily, this is what we're gonna spend. It's really an idea of, it costs about this much to put a roof on, 40, 50,000, whatever. And that's the number we put on here and
I think
then,
with the type of roof it has, he is not experienced with it enough to
yeah.
just
Well,
guess a
in
number like that, because
previous
it's not a normal.
years, I don't know where the number came from, 38,000 was a number that the capital plan had been given, but I don't know how long ago that number was
Yeah.
decided, and
Is
I
that a
know a
rubber
lot has
roof up there?
changed.
It's got rubber and rock, I think.
Oh, so it's a,
A
Asphalt?
floating roof? Somebody told me, I think it's called a floating roof or something, is what I was told.
I've never been up there.
I just know that the price age, your rubber roofing or your HDP or whatever it is doubled
Yeah.
in the last 4 years.
So something about, it's like a floating roof, which the rock holds the roof on, that to me doesn't make a lot of sense.
I think
But that's
it's
how it was
got membrane
explained
and all
to
the gravel
me.
on it.
Yeah,
So that's how it was explained to me.
wow.
Yeah, they
So
have to
I don't
remove
know
all
what
the
that
gravel,
means for roof.
Replace the membrane to put all the gravel back, basically. to fix
or
it.
go with a different roof system
Yeah.
without the gravel, just go with a high-density polyethylene as
Oh.
opposed to a rubber. But that's, I had a quote on mine before COVID for 4,000, and after COVID it was 10.
Yeah, so I don't know if we can just do like a, sort of a search for how much that's what I did for my kitchen, to budget my kitchen.
Yeah.
This is about how much it costs, so this is how much I need to save up. So I don't know if we can just do a general like search for whatever kind of roof it is and go, how much does it cost for this square footage roughly, and then put that number in here, because that's really what we need, is a rough number so that we can sort of,
Are you willing to do that search, or what are you saying?
I don't know who needs to do that search.
Okay.
And the furnace and the painting too, like those are things I think if we can just figure out how to get just a general number for those. If we can't get them from the vendors because they're not cooperating, maybe, compare it to maybe some other projects we've done and say, oh, well, it costs this much to paint this, so maybe it'll be about the same. If we look at some other expenses, if we look up whatever kind of furnace is up there, maybe we can just get a general.
Yeah. And I do have a call into the sheriff's department in Franklin County to see if their work crews could come up. So that's just another, they do a lot of, the inmate crews do a lot of work.
Okay.
And I don't know if they can cross the line, that's all.
Yeah, so I just need some general numbers so that I can just plug them in here. And I think that's all we're waiting on for here. And then this will be We're looking at almost $500,000 that we need from taxes, which is more than double anything we've ever asked for the last, I went back and looked all the way back for like the last 20-ish years. We've never needed even close to that. I mean, it's, the most we've ever needed was 197 besides this, and before that it was either nothing or like 60,000, 82, like it was all much smaller. So I don't know how the town is gonna feel about $500,000.
You're just gonna have to. There's no way the town's gonna be able to continue to afford
It's gonna get bigger,
500,000
bigger.
or 300,000 a year out of taxes into a capital. You're gonna have to start considering a capital borrowing plan to make it work.
Or, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to, get more dividends on the, the ER reserve, which the idea was to, I don't know if who we're using now is gonna have some better ideas on how to like get
Right.
more of a return on that. I mean, Discover's offering 4%, so I mean, maybe we should just stick it all in there and get, I feel like that might be more.
My capital one's 5.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I know.
Well, why couldn't we use the price of a furnace boiler for here as a tenant?
I think probably we could if it's the same size, or, I don't know if, I mean, even the one at the highway department, they're fully funded, so maybe even if that's the same size as the one at I'm assuming we probably use the same
It's very
furnace
close to the
company.
same size. I think.
Yeah, what's
Then
about
we may be
4,000
able to
square
do
feet
that.
down there? It's not that big, is
I
it?
don't know how much is actually heated.
You don't heat the bays?
The bays have ceiling ones.
Ceiling heat, yeah.
And then there's a split unit in the main,
Yeah.
and then downstairs is kind of heated.
So it may just be a matter of looking at previous expenses on
Unfortunately, the
similar things.
Town office has a very expensive boiler system that I wouldn't use for comparison.
Yeah, but maybe the highway department, maybe
That probably
theirs
makes more sense.
compares to what's at the fire department. So, yeah, as soon as I have numbers for these things, I can just plug them in and this will be done.
And it's just the furnace, right? We're not replacing any hot air system or any
Just says
baseboard system?
It says furnace, no, I don't know
Fire
what's
station
in, what you have to replace if you put in a new furnace,
you'll
I
need
don't
a
know
new
what
plan,
parts you have to,
Okay,
I
thank
hire
you.
people for that, I just say, it needs, do what it needs, I don't know. Yeah, so just, those are the only things, I just need, to know what numbers and what we're doing, and the town van, if we're gonna appropriate tax money to get the rest of the funds, or if we're gonna use ARPA to make up the difference. I don't know what you guys are gonna decide on that. So that way I can just update this. And I did wanna ask, because of this dump truck thing we just talked about, is that gonna be paid for this year? Is that gonna come off of this capital plan this year? Or is it something that I wouldn't need to adjust until the next one? If he's ordering it, I'm assuming he's got approval now to go ahead and order it and whatever. So what does that look like as far as,
I don't know if it'll be next year.
I mean, it's fully funded, so it's not gonna change, if I take it off, it's not gonna change the bottom line here, because we're not appropriating any money for it
Right.
this year anyway.
Okay,
Right.
But we might add money in if he's, he's not using all of it, so there's $3,000 or so that he's not gonna need. Plus, he may sell the other one for whatever he said, so that's money that would go back in here. So I don't know if that's gonna help this year, or if that's after we,
well, they're gonna want a deposit as soon as they place the
Right.
order, so,
right.
May have said in that, probably said in that.
yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
didn't know if that was something I needed to make note of in here or not.
The trade-in price at this point
18,000.
directly reflected the amount we were gonna spend on the truck
Okay.
total. So it's not gonna
Yeah,
be
they had
another
already done the
check
deduct on it.
coming to us per se.
Okay, it'll
Yeah.
make the price.
253 was
Yes.
after trading.
I gotcha.
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
that makes sense.
But, yeah, going forward, there'll be whatever the year that truck is,
2010.
and then, you know, the 2010 will change to like 2024, and we'll start saving for the next one.
2037, yeah.
Yeah, so next year there'll be a new truck on, a new one that we'll start saving for, yes.
Right.
So regardless of whether I change this one this year, it's not gonna change our bottom line, like I said, because it's already fully funded, so there's no money being appropriated this year. But, so I can leave it there, I can take it off and make a note that we purchased it this year, I don't know, that's all I'm asking.
I would just leave it.
Leave it, and
There's,
we'll adjust it next year, okay.
and there goes your
You don't wanna
turnbacks.
lose your place.
Put your
over there.
turnbacks right into the capital.
Not a bad idea.
That would be a great idea.
All right, because instead of coming up with 500,000 or whatever it is from taxation, if we've got turnbacks and you can verify those, that we go to town meeting and we ask for a transfer of X amount of funds from the reserve or the undesignated reserve
Tell me what
to
a
the
turnback
capital.
is, I don't know what that, I'm not familiar with that term.
Money that,
Money that may be left over at the end of the fiscal year that would go into a undesignated fund balance, if you will, or,
Oh,
okay?
some money departments didn't spend in.
Yeah, take that, instead of throwing it into undesignated fund balance, have an article to move it to capital.
It's
To help.
significant, what do we say, 340,000?
348,
340.
340, so,
Great idea.
Even 200.
Well,
yeah,
any amount that I can make this number lower.
yeah.
Because I feel like hopefully nobody brings tomatoes to the town meeting, because when I say this number, I'm not gonna be anybody's
Well-
favorite person, so.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't help it.
I mean, I know that, but it doesn't make the message come across any easier.
No, it
Yes,
doesn't.
they wanna kill the messenger.
So anything that I can do to help be like, hey, we really did work this as hard as we could and found a way to like make
Yeah.
it as less painful as
That's it,
possible.
that's the only thing I can think of to bring that down,
Okay,
out of this next year's taxation, you
Yeah.
know?
Thank you very, very much for
It's been a huge amount of work and it's appreciated.
so as soon as I get these numbers, I will fix
Where's
this,
the
send you
final?
guys the final, and then I'll need to plan a meeting for the town to come and talk to me or meet with us to just, you know, nobody's ever shown up in
We gotta do
previous
that.
years, but I have to have one anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Public
Similar
hearing.
to, right, the public hearing, so they can all just come in, so as soon as I can do that, and then it'll
Here
be,
it is.
but yeah, as long as I have these numbers, I can just get you guys the final, thing, so.
Did Tim give you the deadline?
I want
to
to
have
fund the
by the
meeting
20?
tonight, I just want to be done with it.
Oh, the
I'm
final,
all for that.
It
yeah,
has to go into the
Go for it.
warning, and the warning statutorily has to be complete by the 20th.
Is that the number?
oh, okay, yeah, so as long as, if you get me those numbers, I
Check
can,
in, yeah, check in with him to make sure in case you need
Well, they
to,
got a bid.
you know, for a meeting or
I
whatever.
should-
I can't do that. 'cause I did
a
it,
meeting, well, I don't know that the townspeople,
Can't
even that
fund it
meeting
without
doesn't
bid.
change this, I don't think. I think it's really just them to have an opportunity to look at it and ask where the numbers came from. I don't think that meeting changes the actual capital
No,
plan.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so really all I need to get it to Tim
It's just the numbers.
is these final few items, the numbers, so that they can be calculated in the amount, and then I can give you guys that. And I think there's one more page I have to create. Yeah, that goes with it, but I was waiting until we had all these numbers final. That's just a matter of me plopping the numbers into another page that looks almost identical but has less column. I don't know why we need both, but
It's always been done that way.
whatever. Hey, I know, you know, bureaucracy is what it is, so.
Drives me nuts. Do we have bids on the van?
Yeah, they got from two
One.
different yeah, originally they had prices from two different companies, but they've gotten one more now when
Yeah,
they
they requested-
redid the,
With the straps?
Yeah.
For the kids?
Yes,
Do you know that number?
yeah, it's
120,
138, 383 was the final that you sent in the email to
Yep.
me.
Yep, that was
Sure.
one of them. The other one was, I think, 120, 40.
But
Yeah,
that
but which
didn't, the other one didn't include the
Cost
straps,
of the
right?
bus. Okay.
And
So
how-
128, 400. for one.
And is that
That's for
straps?
Patsy's, yep, that's with the integrated child
It
safety
is,
seats.
okay.
128,400.
Okay,
128,400.
okay. And the other one's 138?
The 138 on here.
I have, right, because I thought there was only one, so that's why.
Let's see, Masters.
Can you bring that to the next meeting instead of having you have to go
Sure.
crazy trying to find it now?
Yep,
And-
absolutely.
Put it on as a discussion article for the next meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So by the next meeting, I should have everything I need then, right? To finish this up.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of work. Thank the whole committee, which is,
I'm glad I have a committee.
yes, we're glad you have a committee too.
Do we need an executive session tonight? Right, we do have a thank you card from Cindy Simons.
Oh, nice.
Seeing that our next meeting is February 6th.
Do we need to make a motion to approve the budget?
Yes, let's work on approving the budget.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the budget as presented by the town administrator with the most recent reductions. And appreciate, I'm just trying to get to a bottom line number here. I don't see above, 1,943,062.
Yes.
In the amount of, just to make that motion convoluted, $1,943,062.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? We discussed it.
Just one comment. I know it's hard to, when the budgets have been presented and then you go back and work with them to reduce the budget some. I give the town administrator and the department heads a lot of credit for going back and being able to do that.
Amazing work. All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Karen?
We need to add the $100 in. For the
We
state
did that
green up.
one. Okay.
Okay, so let's make that $1,943,162.
Still seconded.
Okay,
Thank
still
you.
second. It's called a friendly amendment. Thank you. All right, all those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Brendan?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Nice job, Madam Town Administrator.
Okay, how about a motion on the warning?
I move the warning as printed.
Is there a second?
To approve the warning?
Yeah, the articles.
Oh.
Shelley, you said January 28th, is that?
Do we want to go through them
So
one
we have
by
to know
one?
about the dam
We
before the
probably
February
should.
6th meeting.
If Shelley doesn't need them, us to approve them before the 30th, do we need to approve them before the 30th? I think that's today.
Everything needs to be, yeah,
Okay.
If I read over them,
if
then
you're gonna make
Yep.
changes.
the only change would be the provision, we don't know that.
So we just need the capital plan
Cap.
figure.
Yeah.
Okay, so a motion to
Okay.
approve the budget with the remaining figures that are needed to be filled in by the administrator.
Fine.
Is that your motion?
Sure.
Okay. Is there a
That's an
second?
excellent motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Michael? Brandon?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jim? To adjourn.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Now we move on.
Mm.